Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes Cartoon Universe Adventure is a top-down 3D platformer collectathon, where you create a goofy cartoon character and platform through a bunch of levels set in the Looney Tunes and Scooby-Doo worlds. You get a single jump, a few cartoony weapons, and some very light puzzle solving. Most of the gameplay is built around traversing linear stages, occasionally stopping to explore optional pathways that contain clothing collectibles or coins. I mean, there are coins everywhere, though. Like, there are so many coins. Just so many. It's impossible to collect all the coins, there are so many. It's just absurd, the amount of coins. There are so many, in fact, that it can be a huge source of fatigue. There isn't much in the way of interesting scenery, and since there are only 2 collectibles, being exposed to one of them in such overwhelming quantities gets existentially tiring. Is this all life is? Collecting thousands and thousands and thousands of coins? So many more coins to buy so many more outfits. Each coin collected individually. It goes, and goes, and goes. You can, at least, purchase an upgrade that increases your coin collecting radius. Most of the other upgrades feel like an afterthought, though, and do little to enhance the game's design. It doesn't help that the coins have rather generic sounds when they're snatched, or that they're never laid out in interesting fashion, or that there's nothing else to spend them on besides cosmetics. Even SpongeBob Hero Pants, a very similar kind of game with a very similar kind of problem, understood the importance of varying collectibles and spreading their locations to a greater degree than Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes Cartoon Universe Adventure. But let's say you've become skilled, adept even, at ignoring the coin apocalypse, or you just really love collecting coins, and you're ready to hear about the level design. Unfortunately, that's scarcely any better. Calling the level designs uninspired might be a bit too generous in this instance. Levels largely consist of the most simplistic, most rudimentary platforming one could imagine, as though the designers were trying to create a workable generic dictionary example of 3D platformer. Of course, there's nothing wrong with simple hazards and simple mechanics if they're thoroughly explored, but that's not the case here. Everything is so surface level, shallow, and oversimplified as to thoroughly dash any hope of engaging gameplay. It's not as though the game is zero effort still. The different weapon types have their own unique benefits and downsides, there's very rarely some genuine pathfinding required to proceed, and some of the larger-than-life familiar settings can be cute. If there's one shining element in particular, it's the player character's customizable avatar. There's no shortage of those cosmetic items, so if you really want, you can make super goofy fashion ensembles and watch them in action as your avatar dances their heart out. But overall, the game's a mixture of perfectly unpleasant elements. The overbearing music, overwhelming plethora of coins, and overly simplistic level design all create a game that's hard to hear, hard to look at, and hard to interact with. It doesn't help at all that the story is nonsensical and poorly conveyed through surreal cutscenes. It's often unclear where your character even came from or what role they really serve in the narrative, but it doesn't matter, because the plot progression is loose and arbitrary in the first place. I played this game alongside my 2 roommates, and one of them, we'll call them Mako, kept repeatedly asking, "Addy, what is the game trying to be?" And it was so hard to provide an answer. When I analyze games, my first order of business is to discern their intention, then go from there. I can't even tell what the intention of this game design is. It feels mostly vague and aimless. I don't recommend playing Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes Cartoon Universe Adventure unless you're looking for a really relaxed, excessively simple platforming experience that demands far less than average of its mechanics and design.